You're welcome to this episode of our class, Space Class. And for those of you who have been following us, you understand with us that we've started treating simultaneous equations, where we've discussed what simultaneous equation is, the different types of equations, such as the quadratic equation, simultaneous equation, polynomial equations, and the rest. And in simultaneous equation, as we've mentioned, we said simultaneous equation is a pair of equations that you solve simultaneously. You solve them concurrently, you solve them simultaneously. And why do you have to do that? Because of one reason: the number of unknowns you have, the number of variables you have. Certainly, every simultaneous equation has at least two unknowns. Now, these two unknowns, you would have to solve them in pairs or concurrently for you to have the value of the unknowns. Basically, a variable is like a hidden number given another name. Now, it's your duty as a mathematics student to now solve the problem and get the values of these variables so that you bring the values from hidden to become absolute. We have different methods we use in solving simultaneous linear equations. And we mentioned that the first method is called substitution method. Substitution method. And the second method is called elimination method. It's called elimination method. The third method is called graphical method. Graphical method. And we also have the matrices method, which is always used at the advanced level. Matrices method. And we looked at certain examples where we tried to look at a problem, solve it using substitution method, likewise solve it using elimination method. We're supposed to proceed to graphical method, and after that, matrices method. But as you can see, our numbers there, we received messages, questions that shows that some of our viewers did not understand the class we had previously. So basically, this class is going to serve as, or will serve as, a revision class. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we'll be solving an equation using both substitution method today and also elimination method. We hope you will be with us till the end of the class. After this revision, we would proceed to another method of solving simultaneous equation. Because of the number of messages and calls received, that's why we feel there is need for us to revise this generally, because the essence of the class is for us to learn and understand. Now, having known the different methods we use in solving simultaneous equations as listed below: substitution method, elimination method, graphical method, and finally, matrices method. Now, what the first method entails is a situation where when you have a pair of equations, you tend to choose one of the equations and choose one of the variables, because for sure you must have two variables in each of the equations. Then you choose one of the variables, then you make it the subject, then you substitute that in the other equation. So by extension, you are trying to rearrange one of the equations, get one of the variables, make it the subject, and substitute in the other to get the exact value of the other variable. And after that, you now substitute that variable of the exact value of that variable to get the original value of the initial variable you made the subject. The second method, elimination method, it's a situation where you tend to eliminate, to make away with one of the variables so that you have just one variable, you find its value, then you substitute to get the exact or the original value of the other variable. In the elimination method, there are certain things that are entailed. Depending on the type of question you're given, that's what determines how you approach it. But the system or the method is the same. Graphical method. In this method, you have a range of values and you have your equations. You fix in these values in the equations to give you some points. Now, by the time you get these points, those points will be there along the x-coordinate and y-coordinate. Then you join the points. Where the points intersect, where the lines intersect, you take the coordinates, the x-axis and the y-axis of that point, and it gives you the answer. That's basically what graphical method entails. Now, in matrices method, you have its own method, special way of solving, where you follow the normal procedure and get your answers. Of all these methods, substitution method and elimination method are mostly used, and also graphical method are mostly used at the ordinary level, while matrices method is basically mostly used at advanced level. Now we take an example, and this example is for us to show you how to solve using substitution and at the same time elimination. And this is the last time we'll take these methods, then we'll proceed to graphical method. The basic example we have here is x plus y equals 6. Call this your first equation, equation 1. You also have x minus y equals 2. Call this equation 2. Now, looking at these equations, you discover that x is a variable. It has a coefficient, which is 1 from this question. Y is a variable. It has a coefficient, which is 1. Likewise, x in the second equation has a coefficient, which is 1, and y has a coefficient, which is minus 1. In this case, minus 1, y, which is minus y. The sign of any number of variable precedes that number. So definitely, this y, this negative sign is for y. So we have a coefficient of 1 here. So we can call it minus 1y, which eventually is minus y. Now, using substitution method, using substitution method, what do? We choose one of the two equations. It could be equation 1, it could be equation 2. But at this level, whichever equation you choose, you make a variable the subject, that variable will be substituted in the other equation. If, for instance, we choose equation 2 here, we want to use equation 2 to get a certain variable and make that variable the subject in equation 2. Say y. If we want to make y the subject in equation 2, you say make y the subject in equation 2. If that is the case, equation 2 is x minus y equals 2. What we want is y, not x minus y. So the first thing we do is to remove this x from here. We have to get rid of this x from here. And how do we do that? Since we have positive x here, we'll now subtract x from both sides. You can also transfer this x to this side, or transfer this to this side and minus y to the other side. But by standard, we subtract x from both sides. Subtract x from both sides, because the x you have here is positive x, and it's only negative x that would get rid of this positive x. So you introduce minus x. So what you now have would be minus x, which is subtract x, plus x, which is this x, minus y equals 2 minus x. We are subtracting x from both sides. This x, we cancel this, you'll be left with minus y is equals to 2 minus x. To some, we have arrived, but I'll tell you we haven't, because what we want is y and not negative y. So that definitely we cannot leave this at this level. So we need to get rid of this negative y. So we can multiply through by minus 1, multiply the right hand side by minus 1, and the left hand side by minus 1. So multiply through by minus 1, through by minus 1. So you have minus 1 multiplied by minus y equals minus 1 multiplied by 2 minus x. Minus times minus will give you plus. 1 times y will give you y. Because you need to be careful and be mindful of your signs. When you multiply minus by minus, it gives you plus. Multiply plus by minus, it gives you minus. Plus by plus gives you plus. So from here, minus by minus will give you plus, 1 times y will give you y, and equals minus 1 times 2 will give you minus 2. Minus 1 times minus x will give you plus x. So we can now rearrange this. In this, y equals minus 2 plus x becomes y equals x minus 2. Now, having made y the subject, what we need to do now is for us to substitute this in equation 1, not equation 2, because we started with equation 2. So what you got, you now substitute it in the other equation, which in this case is equation 1. So you write substitute y equals x minus 2 in equation 1. So your equation 1 is x plus y equals 6. So now anywhere you see y now, you put x minus 2. So you have x plus, in place of y you have x minus 2, and that will give you 6. And from here, x plus x will give you 2x minus 2 equals 6. So what do? We have minus 2 here. For us to get rid of this minus 2, we introduce plus 2. So you add 2 to both sides. Add 2 to both sides. So by so doing, you have 2x minus 2 plus 2 equals 6 plus 2. You've added 2 to both sides. So minus 2 plus 2 will give you 0. You'll now be left with 2x equals 6 plus 2 is what? 8. Now, what we want is x and not 2x. So, by virtues of the rules of mathematics, because 2 is linked with x via multiplication, if we want to separate the 2, we introduce division. So we now divide through by 2, the coefficient of x, for us to get the value of x. Divide through by 2. So now have 2x divided by 2 equals 8 divided by 2. 2 will cancel 2. X will be equals to 8 divided by 2 would give you 4. This is your answer. Now, this is the original value of x. You now use this value of x in any of the two equations. In whichever of the two equations, if you use the value of x, you get the value of y. So the next thing is for us to substitute the value of x in any of the two equations. X as 4 here. You now substitute x equals 4 in equation 1, let's say. So you have x plus y equals 6 becomes 4 plus y equals 6. Now for us to get the value of y, what we have here is plus 4, so we subtract 4 from both sides. So subtract subtract 4 from both sides. So you now have 4 minus 4 plus y equals 6 minus 4. So this 4 will cancel this 4. You'll be left with y equals 6 minus 4 is 2. This is the value of y. So x equals 4, y equals 2. So what basically the question meant was, x is a number, y is also a number. By the time you sum these two numbers, you get 6. And here, x is a number, y is a number. By the time you take y from x, it will give you 2. So let's look at that. X is 4, put 4 here. Y is 2, put 2 here. 4 plus 2 would give you 6. That's correct. X is 4, put 4 here. Y is 2, put 2 here. 4 minus 2 equals 2, which is correct. So our answers are correct. Now this is substitution method. And having gone through this method, since this is a revision class, we've taken this in our first and second classes. It's because of the request we received that we feel we should repeat this. Now we proceed to taking elimination method. Substitution method. X plus y equals 6. X minus y equals 2. This equation 1, name this equation 2. Now primarily, this is simple, but there are cases where you have more advanced cases than this, that you have to multiply each one by a factor, such that if it is x you want to eliminate, you would have to multiply equation 1 by a factor, equation 2 by a factor, such that you have the same coefficient. Then you eliminate by introducing a negative sign, since the signs are same. If also you want to eliminate y, there are instances likewise also that you would have to multiply y, the whole of equation 1 by a factor, whole of equation 2 by a factor, such that the coefficient of y in equation 1 and that of equation 2 will be the same. Now, considering the fact that you have a negative sign here, you just eliminate. But in the case of this is simple. If we choose to go by x, we want to eliminate x first. Then we'll subtract equation 2 from 1. How do we do that? You just introduce, using elimination method, please, not substitution. We are through with substitution. Now we are discussing elimination. Using elimination method. Now, what you do is to subtract the whole of equation 2 from equation 1, which primarily we can introduce minus here. That means this minus is affecting the whole of equation 2. You now have x plus y minus x minus y equals 6 minus 2. This is the implication. This minus this equals this minus this. So you have x plus y. Minus times x will give you minus x. Minus times minus y. From there, minus times minus is plus. Would give you plus y. Would give you 4. So from here, we rearrange. X minus x plus y equals 4. This will cancel this. Y plus y will give you 2y equals 4. And for us to get the value of y, we divide by the coefficient of y, which is 2. 2y over 2 equals 4 divided by 2. 2 will cancel 2. 4 divided by 2 is equals to 2. That is the value of y. Now, having gotten the value of y, you substitute this in any of the equations to get the value of x. Let's say substitute this in equation 2. We would say put y equation is equals to 2 in equation 2. So if that is the case, x minus y equals 2 now becomes x minus 2 equals 2. And from here, since we have negative 2 here, the next thing for us to do is to add 2 to both sides. Because here we have minus 2. And all we need is just x. So by extension, for us to get x, since it is negative sign that links it with 2, we introduce a positive 2. That will make away with this negative 2. Then we'll be left with x. So you'd have x minus 2 plus 2 equals 2 plus 2. This minus 2 we cancel plus 2. Your x now will give you 4. So you can see, as I mentioned the last time we had our class, I said whichever of the methods you use, you get the same answer. From here, x equals 4, y equals 2 by using elimination method. Meanwhile, while we used substitution method, we had the same values. So you can see, regardless of the method you use, you would have the same answers. Mind you, in an examination, if you are instructed to use a specific method, stick to that method, use it, solve, and get your answer. We wish you the very best of luck. This program is brought to you by Mantatali Nigeria Limited, Digimatics Information System, Northeast Development Association, and Elbir Global Foundation in collaboration with the television station of Borno Radio Television Corporation. For you to reach out to us for your questions and inquiries, here are the contacts. Please SMS only, no calls. Send your message to these contacts, and also for more inquiries you can find out more from our YouTube channel, Elbir Global Foundation. Once again, thank you for being with us, and with this we've come to the end of today's class. See you next week. Thank you.